Are you staying all day Saturday? We have more people than I thought we would. The way Dan marketed this to me was, hey, we should do something on the backside of the website for Cali. Our proposal probably won't be accepted, but just sort of like put it up there. So I put up there. And then it was accepted. And he was like, well, they put it at the same time as Sarah Glassmeyer, so we'll probably have like 1 or 2 people in the room. So remind me never to just Mr. Blackaby again.
We have 5 minutes and we got, what, 10 people? Good.
Right. A nice intimate learning dangerously session.
Yeah, I'm gonna take this off as well. It's an interesting idea to put this schedule. How do you guys feel on questions?
How do I feel on questions?
In the sense, you want to take questions during?
They can ask questions.
They can ask questions whenever they want to.
I might not be
Yeah.
able to answer it.
Yeah.
Don't you know all about this already?
I like this though. I like
Neat
this.
idea.
It is handy. It's very handy.
I thought some people were saying the lanyard should be longer so you could hold it farther from your face when you get there.
I know, that's true, because we're all like,
Well, I have to admit, the maps of the floors of the law school, I cannot read at all.
these ones?
They're way too small.
Yeah. I mean, they're cute, but they're not really functional.
They're not very functional, yeah.
I mean, I guess generally you can just be like, okay, the auditorium is to my right, then. Are you staying at the Ritz, or did you find a different?
You? 17.
It was a little creepy there because I went out to get ice, the latch down, so I wouldn't have to use the key to get back. Sir, do you know that your room is slightly ajar? We just wanted you to know. I'm just like, I'm coming right back. I just had to get ice. Like, they're Johnny on the spot. I'm not used to such, you know. Here's some lukewarm coffee, get out of here. You like the Monty Python thing?
Yes, that you found one I thought was nice.
On Creative Commons, I couldn't find one that was not people in costumes for the Tim one. I wanted to get a screenshot of Tim, but I couldn't find one on Creative. I just used some with random.
Yeah.
I hope you don't mind.
No.
I debated about it. I was like,
Well,
that's
next
just
year,
so-
if we have enough time next year, if I come up with an offhand thing like that, get pictures like me in it or like you in it.
That's
or,
true.
it's
We
like
should have done that. I feel like, Nina, can you do paper, or your husband, can you do paper mache? Well, I'm sure, Carol could probably do paper, or Cynthia. Carol or Cynthia could probably do the paper mache horns. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I don't know. It's 1 o'clock, so I'm. Trust me, she's full. Teasing you. I was teasing Glassmeyer.
What?
I was just teasing you and Glassmeyer.
Oh,
But
yeah, thanks. So if we ever have to do this presentation again, we have to learn and make Dan the actual like curly horns so he can be Tim. So we don't have to use a picture of some random guy.
okay.
Tim Stanley?
No. No.
It's a little after 1, so I guess we can get started. Thank you for coming, everybody. My name is Dan Blackaby. I'm the Technology Services Librarian at Cornell. I'm joined by Maggie Ambrose, who is, tell me your title again.
Access and Research Services.
Yes, Access and Research Services Librarian, and Nina Scholtz, who is the Head of Reference and Instruction Coordinator at Cornell. This program really kind of came from when the process that we've gone through Cornell. Nina and I arrived about 4 years ago, and things internally with the way our at Cornell in that time, out us, we've had first, Nina's going to give you the background on what the situation was when she and I got there about 4 years ago.
So, I am here to, yes, I'm presenting the problems, Dan will quest for solutions, and Maggie will give us a demonstration of our new system. So, but what I'm here to talk about is to give you the user perspective. As a user, as somebody coming new into the law library, what were you getting? I'm not going to show you a picture of it because you've all seen a screen with full of Windows folders. Nothing new there. So we had Windows folders. There was essentially no setup of any kind in terms of naming conventions, organizational system, or version control. And this gave us problems in terms of how we can find things. So if you knew where a document was, you could find it. If you thought you might know what the title was, you could try searching for it and you might actually find it. And if there might or might not be tags on it, but there was no uniform solution in terms of tags. And like I say, this is all leading to there were a lot of problems with version control, which I will be talking more about how we have those problems with other limitations of this system. So this is a shared network drive with Windows folders. Granted, we have different departments at the Cornell Law Library, about 20 plus employees working in the law library, working in different functional areas, but frequently crossing over and collaborating in those areas. Those departments do have different organizational needs. Some documents only needed to be used by people working in one area. Some were relevant for all of staff. We had difficulties, though, with making documents that were accessible to one department easily accessible to other departments. Levels of access. On a more technical level, providing permissions for documents that needed more than just generally available to everybody was an issue, because if something had to be made for a limited group, we could not do that ourselves. We had to go through law school IT. And if somebody new came, if permissions had been set up so that it was only accessible by some people and somebody else needed to work on that, then we would have to find a way, we would have to either somebody else would have to get the document or the permissions would have to be changed. This, of course, is one more thing leading into a versioning problem, because once you have some people getting to a document in one place and others not, the document ends up getting moved and copied. There's also the issue that if we had a document on this is of course an internal staff server, so it was never available to anybody external. If we had a document that we ultimately wanted to make available publicly, we had to edit it on our internal server, save it on the internal server, copy it, and put it on our website. So then there would be two versions of the document. If we had documents, again, if we have examples of things that need permission differentiation, if there's a document for that, so for personnel matters, search committee matters, financial matters, administrative matters, all of these require special handling for permissions. Going back to the idea of having documents only in one place, we weren't just trying to collect documents together. We also needed to have an ability to store links to documents that were available externally. Our library is part of the Cornell University library system. We share some policies with them. We needed to have those links organized to go with our own documents, but in a Windows folder system, we could not easily do that. And of course, we wanted to maintain the ability to have a single sign-on, but if we had documents available in two different places, we needed to make sure, if that was the option we were going to go with, we didn't want to have to use two different logins. And mobility, yes, this is a very limited access system. Basically, the only way to access the documents in this system directly was from our own office desktop computers. Even another computer in the library would make it more difficult to access the documents on our shared drive. So if we wanted to be able to, and if we wanted to take a document outside of the library, that always required planning ahead. So we had to either store something in the cloud, so again, making another copy, creating additional versions, or we would have to, or put it on something like a flash drive. So essentially, our work on these the documents, our documents that we weren't managing on our hard or on our shared network, we were tethered to our desktop in the office or to copying those documents and potentially having two different working versions. So that's the user perspective of where we were, and then we are now at the point where Dan will come in and create a new problem.
Yes, that's just me being me. Yes, yes.
I'm sorry, I was trying to figure out what you were doing.
She wanted me to segue into being on a quest.
He's on a quest.
Yes. When I was hired 4 years ago, one of the main impetuses for my position, was that we needed a new website. And we shared the same website as the law school. It was on a common spot, common content. I didn't find it the most user-friendly. I was stuck with three templates, actually one template that I could choose with 3 panels. I couldn't make a page with anything else. Plus, I was the only one in the law library who could change anything. That led to, obviously, any kind of content I was ultimately responsible for. Plus, the staff, it was seen as my thing, or seen as the So that was the first thing I thought to do. And so one of the first decisions we made was to take the library website off of Common Spot and put it into Drupal 7. Library, and had a very good designer help us and website. But part of that is that shared drive, it was still a disconnect. You still had to do a bunch of things. All those issues that none of us talked about were still there. And so I was asked, is there a way I can make a procedure manual? Or I can make a way to navigate this stuff that is easier. Doing the website, but I want to do the Confluence or stuff. And what actually struck me was one of the other projects that I was given when I first got there, and that was to implement. Now, the way our sign-ins work, there was a kind of problem that had to be resolved about how to limit it to just the law school audience. Because Cornell, pretty big, so if we just use standard NetID sign-in, anybody could get on it, but we're only paying for access to law school at the time, so I had to limit it to that audience. So when it came time, so we had to solve how to make user groups on Shibboleth, which was our proxy sign-in, so that we could get to Overdrive. So when it came time to do the manual, I thought, I'm just going to put it on the back of the website and partition that part of the website behind that Shibboleth login. And so it ended up being 2 user groups that I had to make. I had to make it limited to the law school audience only, plus I limited it to staff, so I don't have students logging. Plus there's the extra added element if on a Drupal site that when anybody would get a new username or password or try to log in, it would tell me. And I would know who was and who wasn't. All that part. It also, but I was stuck with the idea that, okay, I want to put this on the website. I don't want to have a storage space on the website. What do I have? We have at Cornell an instance of Box that we use. And before, we'd only used it when, say, if somebody was sending you a large video file, or somebody was sending you something from HR that had to be secured. But the thing was, there were no limitations on what we could actually do with it. No one had ever said that you can't use it for other things. So I decided I'm going to put a lot of the documentation in the back on Box, and it uses the same login as the ones we use for Shibboleth for the proxy servers. It's going to be one login for everything. The other thing about it, though, is that there are some things that didn't need to be in Box, didn't need to be behind the login. For example, we have forms and signs, like the sign that says the bathroom is this way. Okay. So, as Maggie will show you later, we put something, there's no real one destination for the storage on our website now. We have some things that are in Box, some things that are in Google Drive. I've stored some things on the website. I've linked out to some things, so I can put a video in. I just embed it to YouTube. Or I can put in a page to Flickr, and it'll embed the photo. So I can use all the flexibility of the website without being limited by the amount of storage I need to have, or worrying about somebody's going to get in to see something they should plug it in. Now it did impose one slight problem. Defaulted to being an admin login on the website, which, if some of you need Drupal knows, that basically meant gave everybody the ability to totally crash the website. And, bad thing. So we assign user roles. federated login, there's a default that if you sign in off the federated login, you are going to be have a login for the actual website, which I think right now is you and me and Mark, our outreach librarian. We're the only ones who actually have the website login. So ours looks a little bit different. So they give fewer options, so they can't change the appearance. A lot of the things structurally to the website. They can create new pages, they can put things in menus, they can structure it how they want, and it really kind of gives them the creativity to be able to do it. Because what it also does is it makes it to where I don't have to. I can actually say, if this is the language you want in your page, you can have it. You don't have to worry front end or the back end. I tend to do all the front end stuff still, but the back end stuff is theirs, and they can play around with whatever it was. It won't break, they won't put anything out that will be public. So, when I was finding this Holy Grail, like, is this still the perfect solution, you know, that does everything? Because I don't know yet. We're still working on it. We basically come to the point where we're in the testing work in progress phase. There have been some hiccups along the way. Oh, login videos, login screen on the side basically said your name. I was fine with that because I thought, well, I can see my name. In the corner it says there's a black bar at the top of every Drupal page with all your options. In the corner, log out. If I see a sign that says log out, that implies I'm logged in. But the thing is, that was me not accounting for me being a techie person. So, as I told Maggie, I was confused by the confusion. So what we did was, as Maggie went in and put in different content types, different uses. Part of changing the content type, staff pages where that page, but you can't create a public page. Menus, they have editing options that they don't. So that way it gives me control over the larger site, but it also gives them control. If you have any questions during this time, feel free to. The biggest thing about this, I think, is that we're doing this all in web-based applications. I have nothing that you can't get to. Plus, we're also taking advantage of some of the tags in Box, right? Tag folders. One of our staff workers, Carol, has taken all the photos, and she's a huge, all the photos that they've ever collected in the shared drive, and distributed them out to staff members, and they spend time going through and tagging them. They'll get a folder, it's like their own project to do. They'll go through and say, okay, this is of the reading room, this is of this faculty member, and they'll put tags in. Started a page where with shortcuts to the tags. So if I want photos of the reading room, you click on the picture. So it's about kind of streamlining their interface so they have one interface to all of our different storage, all of our different kind of organizations. The biggest problem we've had with this was just the initial password construction. But because we did it as the federated central login from the, gets them in the box. It gets them in storage devices. once you're logged in, you log in once, log into the website, it logs you in to the other. That being said, if I have a staff member who doesn't feel comfortable working on the website, they can go straight into Box and load the documents into Box. They don't have, and that, I don't know if anybody's ever used it, it's really a drag and drop to the files in. So they don't have to have any kind of, they basically have to be able to move something into a folder. And it really kind of gives them their own level of control over the different. One of those things where I'm trying to make it as simplified as possible for them without making them worry that they're going to break. We have staff members who've been there, they've been there 35 years. Yeah, she told me she's not going, she's like, I'm not touching the website. You already said that. But I'm like, I can give you a working folder so that if you want to be in the stacks laptop and pull up an Excel sheet that you want to work on, transfer it back to your home computer. Pull it up from the website from Box, work on it, save it, and it will be there. And it's given us a bit more entry and access points. So, and plus, this is, I didn't buy anything. Money on any additional, I didn't have to buy use any kind of additional framework. We did our Drupal site through the central library. And and in concert with them, they've now started using this for other things as well, other places. Really kind of a meeting. These are all the things I had to do. But the biggest thing is this last one: creating policies, workflows. The great thing about that is that's not on me. Maggie's in charge of the Access Services Department. They have their discussions in the Access Services meeting about how they want to organize their backside. Totally under their control, how they want to do it, how they want to construct things. And they each have their own menus. So there's a different one for information management, which is what we call that. Outreach, there's a different one for things like when the scanner breaks down. I put up a tech issues tree. I use a JPEG on my landing page of like a flowchart. That's something I wouldn't have been able to do if I was stuck in the shared drive. I wouldn't have that landing. So really what this all came down to was the user access point. Finding it and making it as flexible as I could get it and still use all the things that we had. They don't want the process to be more onerous. What they're really trying to do is make it work. Place and do everything. It's taken a while. It took me 2 years to get the website up, and we're now in the process of filling in the backside. Maggie's done quite a bit of that. Really now just discovering the flexibility of the website as opposed to having we can't. There are things on the information management site, for example, I can't get into. I control the website because they control the folder access on the Box level. like search committee, post links to resumes. But log in as themselves with that better.
So Dan,
Yeah.
you've mentioned Confluence a couple of times, which is a tool we have available at Cornell. Can you explain a little bit more about why Box was a better solution than Confluence?
Well, Confluence, does anybody have a version of Confluence? Call it user friendly? No. I like it. No, it's, I won't say no one likes it, but it is not what I would call, it's not flexible. Actually reminds me more of CommonSpot with content management. There's certain ways you have to upload documents. The other thing, we have Confluence, and then we have all sorts of like Workday, we have all sorts of things. Put all those links into one place. Where that we want. Not limited into. Have an audio file there. I will do. Biggest thing with doing, I couldn't work on. Website is fully mobile friendly. Allows our catalogers to work on things from bodies. It allows people to do things from anywhere that they before had to be sitting at their desk. Well, some people were like, well, have the options. I really think, especially when we take advantage of both things that say Box can do or that Google Drive can do in concert with what the website can do, maximizing the utility we get out of both the material and the that because I said, you know, we can link out to these things. I said, I want one link. I don't want 14 different versions of this one procedure. Say which one it is you want. So internally, they've come up with naming conventions so that they only have to rename the file on the back end. You have to change the link on the front. Alter the document, it'll still go to the right one. So the versioning control off of the access point stays static, while the versions on the back end can change as many times. And now it's time for Maggie to show you what it looks like.
So this is my first time at Cali, so I actually don't know sort of what the makeup is of the people who usually come here. So are you mostly private law firm librarians or not even librarians? You're the only one. Oh my goodness. Okay. So please excuse me if, because we're just speaking from our experience at this point, but so in an academic law library, we have, just to go hitting the points one by one, starting with access. Of course, we have 3 levels of access we usually need to be concerned about. Generally, broadly speaking, we've got the patrons, the public access, and then we have internal access. And then within the internal access, like Dan was saying, you're going to have some people who should have access to some folders and other people who should not have access to those folders. Now, just to, again, reiterate why it was important that all the levels of access should be
accessible through one point is because we tried it the other way. We tried having different technologies to store different things, and people just refuse to use them because you have people who say, I've been using the same folder on the share drive for 35 or however long it was, and I'm not going to use anything different no matter what you do. And then even the people who are considering using the backside of the website or Box or Confluence, they will, even if they're open to that idea, they then expect it to do everything. And if it doesn't do everything, then they throw their hands up in the air and they won't use it. So we really had to make sure it did everything. So in terms of public access, of course, we have the front side of the website, as you probably do in your own institution, and the public can check out our after hours policy, our circulation policy. Those are in my realm, access services, the study room policies. This way, when I have my staff at the circulation desk and they have someone come and ask about our after hours policy, they of course know the website and can direct them to there. But if they want to go to the back side of the website, then they can log in. So I am now in Firefox, logged in as myself. So I've already logged in. So when I log in, actually, this black bar appears. And like Dan and Mark, I think we're the only three who have the full access. And I promised Dan probably about 20 times that I will never, ever, 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 ever click on appearances to get that access, but I really needed that higher level access to do some of the things that I wanted to do at the backside of the website. So because I have promised Dan on pain of torture that I will not touch this button, I never do. Someone like Nina, who didn't really need to have the levels of access that I needed to do what I wanted to do, she has the black bar, but she doesn't have that danger, so she didn't have to get down and bend a knee and promise Dan that she wouldn't screw up and break the website.
I'm scared of a small Spanish man up at the Central Library who...
His name is Manolo, right?
Yes.
That is a really cool name. I
Yeah.
would be afraid of him too.
Yeah.
He's very sweet though in real life, so it's okay. Where am I? Oh, sorry. There we go. So this is when I first log in, this is what I see, and this is my profile page. So if you remember, Dan was saying originally this was blank, and people didn't like that because they're used to interfaces where they log in and they see their profile page and it has the top 5 links that they like, and when it didn't do that, they said, well, this is stupid, we're not going to use it. So we decided that in order to make it actually useful for the people that needed to use it, we should actually listen to what they were saying and say, okay, so you're demanding something pretty. Okay, so we'll put a user page up there where you can insert your picture, you can put your top links there. And I went back and forth. I mean, we don't have it so it's not, the top links aren't automatically generated through algorithms. So people can pick and choose what their top 5 links are, which I actually think is better than something automatically generating it for them, because I mean that's what happens on Westlaw and Lexis, and I don't use that anyway. So, but now I actually get to pick my top links, and I've started to do that and fill that in. So that's how we have the different levels of access. So just going back here, so see, this is my page when I view it. It's the same when Nina views it. I'm just using Nina's profile to get to my user page right now. But see, when I'm logged in with my credentials, I can link to, and I'm not going to click it because I don't want to show you the performance reviews for my staff, but if I clicked on this link, it would open up to my folder in Box, and I would have access to the folder where I have all the performance reviews for my entire staff. So if I'm working and one of my staff does something incredible, which they're doing all the time because I love them and they're amazing, I can immediately access their performance folder, put it in there, so when it comes time for a performance dialogue, I have a ready list of awesome things to say about them. And as awesome as that is, it's really none of Nina's business. So when Nina is on my profile page and she clicks on, and I didn't try this out, so if it actually opens, I'll be in trouble. When she clicks on my performance review link, she'll get this, you need to log in, and she'll log in with her Cornell credentials, and then it will say access denied because she doesn't have that. I set up the access on my performance review folder, so I only have access to them, myself and Femi and Amy Emerson, because they're here.
It may actually go through today because they're both actually logged in.
Yeah, so I won't continue to do that, but that's the idea of it. That's how it's supposed to sort of work, and it's actually really helpful. I know it sounds small, but it actually is really helpful for us because before you had all these different versions, and it was not good, as you can probably guess. All right, so another thing that was really important to me and really important to my staff, who I think probably use it the most because they're the ones who are at the circulation desk and need to have a really strong understanding of both the external policies and the internal policies. I don't know if you know, but Cornell has over 37 entrances and exits. So we don't have,
Just our law library.
That's just our law library. So what that means for us is that we have special reserves, course reserves, regular reserves, some stuff in
G25.
G25. We have the cage. We have all of these different policies surrounding different collections to help them keep protected, considering that there is no way that we can hire over 37 guards and post them at the entrances and exits with things. So we at Cornell really need to have a place where we have a very strong understanding of all of our policies regarding all of our collections, in addition to not only the ones that we show the public, but our internal policies and how we run things inside. So we have to have that, and the staff has to be able to access them really easily at the desk in real time in front of the patron. I have people in my staff, however, some who are like May, who are diehard and say, I'm only going to use a folder system. And then I have other people who are newer on my staff who haven't worked there for 30 years, who don't know exactly where everything is in the folder system. So we needed to have both the folder system for the diehard people who refuse to use anything else, and we also needed to have browsing and searching capabilities. Now, people organize things different ways, and that's where you get the versioning problems in. So I'm going to quickly log into Box. Well, actually, I'll show you on the back side of the website first, and then I'll show you. Am I a 9 or a me?
You are, well, look at the top. You're
Okay.
you.
All right, so what's a good thing to show? An example of this. All right, so I'll use the excursion budget. Okay. I can never type in front of people. I get really nervous. I'm a really fast typer, but as soon as I get in front of someone, I'm just like, my fingers won't work, so please bear with me. All right, so this is Box. So the reason why this is important, okay. All right, so the reason why we couldn't just use Box instead of the box and the backside of the website is, so this is what I see when I first log into Box. Now, some folders I have complete control over. I can move them, I can adjust them, I can rename them. Other folders that people have shared with me that I still need to have access with, I don't have control over. So this is a mess. I don't know if you have OCD like I do, but I hate this. I hate this clutter. I don't like it. Because some of these folders, like the access services, no, I do actually have control over that. Like CO access services that was shared with me by Elizabeth Hines as the Access and Research Services Librarian for Cornell University Law Library. I have to sit on a committee with all the other access services librarians of all the other libraries, and we talk ad nauseum about things once a month. It's great. I love it. But, so that's a folder that was shared with me for documents for that, which has nothing really to do with the law library. It's just an access services things, but I don't have control over it, and that makes me sad. So, I have my own folder, which is, this is organized in a way that I can understand and I like, because I like personalizing my organizational system. That you're here makes me think that you are librarians, and you probably do too. So why this matters is, so I have in my folders, I've decided that it makes sense for me to put the excursion budget under projects, because the excursion was something I worked on. So it's under my projects in my excursion folder, it's right there. Other people who might need to use this excursion calculator that I created in the future or in the present, that's not going to be intuitive for them to go into my folder system and find it there. So it's also, this calculator is also in this folder right here. So basically I copied it from my folder and I copied it into this folder, which is then linked to from the back side of the website. Now the reason why this doesn't result in a versioning issue, let's go back to the back side of the website. So if someone wants to find that calculator, so say next year someone has to plan the next year's excursion and they don't want to start from scratch and they want to find an excursion budget from last year in a calculator form that they can do. If they click on this link, it will bring them directly to the budget calculator that's both in my folder and then the folder that it's in the shared website folder. And if I make corrections on the budget in my folder, the changes will automatically cascade and the changes will appear in the version of the budget in the other folder. And so no matter, and if they click on this link, they'll automatically go to the most updated version of the budget. Does that make sense? Or did I just like mess that up? I can make it anywhere. It's just linked. So that's why we don't have versioning issues. So I can put the excursion budget calculator in a folder system that makes sense to my personal ideas of how to organize things. Someone else can have the same excursion budget in their own folder system that they have on Box that makes sense for them to find in their organizational realm. And when we work on it, all of the changes will converge together so we'll have the same version. So we don't have me working on one budget version and another person working on another budget. That's just a Box capability, and then with the website added to Box, you can just have the one link that everyone can go to and view it or see it or change it or manipulate it or do whatever they want to it. So probably a better example, so if you're in academia, this is really good for ABA statistics, obviously, for obvious reasons when you're working on that. Or any project where you have a lot of people who have to collaborate and come together and produce a single document or a single project. So, and that's what we were finding. I think it's bad because even the people who didn't want anything to do with the back side of the website at the beginning then decided that if they were gonna take the time to use it, that it better do everything. It better help them with project management, it better help them with finding things, both folders, files, links. It better help them be an access point for every other application that they ever wanted to use ever, which is a tall order, but I think we're getting there. Yeah. We're getting there, so.
There's some things we still haven't done with it, like you can do web forms and it can do timelines and, yeah.
And how many different levels do you have permission setting?
It depends on what folder we're trying to do, because there's some things that, like performance reviews, where there's the chain up. And so basically, when that is initially set up, it's set up for the basically the layer up, so everybody can see it.
I think also one of the issues is that since we tend to, there's not necessarily always the same group. So we can't just say, oh, information and management needs this, so information management will get it. My previous position at the law library was as digital resources librarian, and I was much more involved with information management and collection development. And I also did reference and instruction, but I didn't need to know about everything information management did, but occasionally there was something I needed to get to. So and that's just one example of a constant issue. We're constantly shifting around in terms of who's working on what. Yeah. So there's not 5 groups we can just identify and be done with it.
And instead of having to set up, network permissions for things, we just change the permissions folder on Box, which takes 10 seconds to do, and the person can have access. Yeah, actually on the document level, yeah.
As long as you have so all of the permissions cascade, so you have to have the permission at the beginning, and then you can.
And then you can granulate as you.
I do that actually a lot with, so with the clinic too, so we have different,
Tell her what the clinic is.
oh, sorry. I just assume you all know what I've been working on forever. So we do the Cornell Legal Research Clinic, which is experiential learning for our students. They have real clients, and so they have to be able to track their research, but we have to be able to review it, and we have to be able to review their legal memorandum. And so then the permissions are very, very important because of client confidentiality. And sometimes some student will begin working on one project for the client, and then they'll be overloaded with work, and so then we'll have to bring more of the students to work on this, so then the permissions have to change. And so, and then that also has to work in conjunction with Clio, which is the platform we use to track the clinic hours and the clients as well. It all, of course, also has to follow all the rules for the information policies for Cornell University. So it all has to work, and it all has to follow all the rules. So that's why. But so just a quick example. So one of the problems we had is we needed to be able to store and house things that weren't just generated by ourselves, because we are part of CUL, Cornell University Library Systems, and we have to follow their policies and procedures in some instances. Sometimes we don't, but sometimes we do. So and people don't really like having to think, okay, so I'm trying to find X. Is X a law school thing, or is it a CUL thing, and do I go here or there? So with everything all together, with the backside of the website in conjunction with the box, I can house policies that are created in-house, but I can also quickly link to something on Confluence, the CUL. I don't know if I can show you this, so don't look, but just know that is the form we have to fill out if we want to go travel somewhere to get the monies for it. So, but that's a CUL thing that we have to do.
Yeah.
So there's that. And then just quickly, because we're running out of time and I want plenty of questions for Dan.
For me.
I'm not taking questions. This is your baby. So what he was talking about before, a little bit, and the mouse is now not working, is the different levels and layers within the library itself. So these are the all staff pages. So these are pages that the committee pages, they have their own, the committees each have their own page, but this is information that all staff sort of should be aware of and know about. This is information that's relevant to, everyone on staff. And then if you want to go back and you want to go browse by department, you still can. So you can go into Access Services, My Department, Information Management. Let's go in there. Jackie's been doing a lot. Jackie Magagnos. So this is how information management has decided that they're going to set up their information for their department, which is of course different from how my department, the Access Services department, decided to set up our information. But as a department, we get to make that decision. So we have the layers. We have information that's organized for all staff. We have the individual level, so people can organize their own information with their own organizational schema in their file systems, and also choose their top 5 links or top 5 folders that they can easily link to. And then there's the departmental layer, and we needed that.
And you'll notice that when she clicked on each of those links, it had an add new comment thing. So if they have any questions that they don't see, they can ask it there, and it'll come to me, and I'll be able to farm it to whoever needs to answer the question. Can you go up to the department level there? And if you click on technology, mine over there, you'll see I decided, we're going to do it a little bit differently. I didn't have them ask a question because I had put this up. It's like, so a lot of the questions that they have that would come to me, other people can answer. And like I'm here right now, so if something goes wrong with the scanner, they know to go here and they know who to call. So we've got these kind of procedures built in so where they don't have to fret about if they're asking the right person.
I'm just curious now, does anyone else have to have a decision tree to decide who you contact if there's a problem with a copier versus a problem with the self-checkout machine versus a problem with the scanner. Like, it's different. I just think that's great. And so last, I just want to show you how fun we are, because we're really fun.
Yes, we have a decision tree, but there's only
Yes.
Oh.
thing that happens called random.
Yeah.
That's cool too. So I'm just going to show you this, even though I probably shouldn't, just because this is someone on my staff. So because there's backside profile pages, they get to put up fun pictures. And I put up a boring one, which I'm going to change. But so this is Jane, and she's really cool.
show
So this
mine.
is hers.
Mine's
sorry.
fine.
Is yours fun too?
Well, mine's fine. It's nobody would worry about it. So,
Aw.
yeah.
Mark had a llama up there
Did
for
he?
a little
Yeah.
bit, but
Yeah. We and see, this is only seen by us. So
So
yeah.
you log in to the staff page,
Mhm.
is that right? So
Basically, it's an intranet and an external website at the same time.
all the same time, which is
Yeah.
pretty darn cool.
Yeah.
Do you, yeah, so you come in, you log into your staff page,
Mhm.
right?
There can be. We're still working on a lot of the things.
Are you thinking you're gonna do?
Yeah, one of the things that we've been trying to figure out is the best way to embed calendars. Because because it does handle, because it is at its heart a Drupal website, you have to do certain things in order for it to take Java embeds and things like that, which we've done. We've also found out that we can link our Outlook calendars in through here. So if they want to know where a particular person is and they don't want to have to log into their Outlook, they can click on that and it'll pull up the online version of the Outlook calendar.
My other question was, so we have. Margaret Law School moved to,
Yes.
so is it?
Yeah, the thing Drupal does a little bit better than WordPress is the kind of the content type designations, because this works at its heart because I've said that staff pages require a login. That's what drives most of this. If I couldn't have said that, if I can't divide the content types of the types of pages that are created, I wouldn't be able to have the security that I needed for the intranet. Yeah, and it's just a little bit.
Block page.
You can lock pages. The thing is, it's a little bit different in because we have basically imposed our own internal central IT login on everything. Because this is the same login they use if they want to check their vacation days, if they want to check, their benefits. It's an HR designated, IT designated login.
use subscription resources.
Yeah, everything. Yeah,
Okay, in law firm land, we don't,
yeah,
we use SharePoint.
yeah.
If you had had the opportunity to use, would you have? And would you,
From no, because from the support end, I tend to, my whole kind of concept on this going into this was, I'm doing this. If I do this, I have to be able to support it myself. I can't count on there being this large infrastructure behind it. Because the other thing is, I had to be able to answer the questions on time. So if my director comes to me and says, I need to be able to do this, I need to be able to tell her within a time frame without having to send it up the chain to find out, come back down. And a lot of the things that work off of Microsoft servers, like SharePoint and things like that, I find are just too Byzantine in their construction for me to do this. The one thing that, there is a product coming out called Microsoft Azure, I don't know how the proper way to say that word is. Azure, however you want to say it. That does many of the same things, but it also allows you to set your own encryption keys. So I see law firms might be going toward that because in their cloud storage, because that's one of the other things I've been talking. I've taught CLE on cloud storage at firms the other day. and one of the big problems they have is they don't want to put work product on clouds because they can't set their own encryption. They can't. It's too open. There's nothing. We don't put up anything here. The only thing that's up here that I think might fall into that realm of like HR level stuff is we do on our user page. We did have a place for emergency contact, and that's a totally at will thing. It's like you don't have to put that up. I didn't. I said call the police, which I don't know what that says about me if I said call the police if anything happens. But whereas Maggie put her husband's contact information in there. We don't have anything in there that would inherently be private or say subject to say HIPAA or anything other that we don't feel comfortable. If we do, like the performance reviews, we lock it down on the folder. Yeah. The thing is, SharePoint is getting better about being able to link out. So if you want to put a surface level interface on top of it, you could. But it's just an additional. These are the tools I had, so this is what we had to do, and I wanted to make it as simple as possible.
Okay.
Yeah.
On the Drupal side, did you find that there were a lot of modules out there ready to help you get all this working? Some hacking a lot.
Really, a lot of the modifications didn't have to be on the Drupal end. It had to be on, because the biggest one was Shibboleth, which is our login, our federated login. I had to be able to designate user groups within Shibboleth, which this one uses 2 layers. It uses you have to be a law school community person and you have to be a staff member, as opposed to, say, a student or a TA. The Drupal, the only kind of modifications that's required from the Drupal end is Java modules in order to embed calendars, or there's a timeline I have on the front side of the website that required it, a module that, but the thing about it is because I'm using the Drupal site through the central library system, a lot of the support for the website is done on the server end there. So I don't have to do any server end stuff at all, which I am highly thankful for. So, any other questions? Any thoughts? Comments? Thank you for taking the time to come see us. I'll put my lanyard back on.
Don't we have a picture of Thurgood Marshall somewhere in here?
Thurgood Marshall? Find a picture of Thurgood. I don't know. You should have one of Ginsburg in there.
G-U or G-E? G-I-N-S-B-U-R-G. Ah, I knew.
So, what do you think?
I guess we still need to do that.
Your presentation, but as you mentioned, I'm a Cleveland State, and I'm also an access services person. So there's some staff members in my group who we noticed. You mentioned exactly what you're supposed to. This one, look at this. The legal research clinic that you guys have. So there's a little committee of staff who are looking at that kind of idea for our school, and they have contacts with our clinics and other things. Would you be willing to one of them?
Of course. Let me just give you one of my cards. I will warn you right now, though, the biggest thing with it is it's a lot of work.
Okay, that is good to know. I'm
It's
gonna pass
not for
it
the
on.
faint of
Faint of
heart.
heart, yeah. Or the overworked or underworked. Or
Yeah, no, so I co-teach it with Amy Emerson, who is I forget her title, but she's like basically Femi's associate director. So she is the one who's actually admitted to New York State Bar. So she's the one who
what was his
yes.
attorney?
and I just help with teaching the class. So I do some of the the opening instruction, so how to do legal research, expectations for the clinic, how to interview a client, and then, but the main part is, so with a regular clinic, they follow one, maybe two cases to completion. The legal research clinic, we don't do that. That means that every week, every 2 weeks, every 3 weeks, we have new research problems. So, and then that, it's a lot of work because
They're always reviewed, you mentioned reviewed.
yeah. I'd also say, yeah, there's just a lot of moving pieces to go into it, but I'm so excited that you are even interested because we love it and we think it's worth it. And we have clients who are so grateful.
No.
But I think
They are
you will
like
be,
an upper level
I think you will be, although, okay, so we just got a grant to expand it, and so hopefully part of that expansion we'll be incorporating some of the experiential learning aspects of the clinic into the first year curriculum, but currently we only take 2 Ls and 3 Ls. Honestly, I don't think it would be possible to take more Ls, just, yeah, unless you really have a lot of people with a lot of time on that. Although I will say, when they first come to the clinic, some of them act like 1Ls in the sense that, like, I joke with them, I'm like, your grade is directly proportional to how late I had to stay up fixing your memo before I started a new client. Yeah. So yeah, please, do you have any specific questions?
You know, I don't, because I don't know where kind of the other 3 people who are working on it, like my best are in the process. I know we noticed what you guys were doing. Yeah. So I guess the only question I do have was the clinic kind of side of things. So is there a way that you present it, sort of market it to students, so that I guess we get at is, it's supposed to go to litigation or something like that if you're in court, it's maybe more practical. Is there a way that you kind of entice people to come?
Honestly, we don't have a problem with that.
Okay.
So there's 6 spots. We're going to open enrollment to, I believe, 10.
Okay, so you
But
deal with
usually we
people right now.
typically have like 30 applicants for 6 spots, so we don't typically have a problem. I would say it's important to emphasize that you will have client interaction, and they do. So, like legal leaders, they get a problem, they meet with the client, and they do the research, write the memo, and then deliver the work package.
Did they do all that sort of face-to-face?
Yeah. So I think what's most important to them is that they do have that client interaction, and as long as you're
So that
able
is very
to
attractive.
promise that to them. Another way is, so if they do like law clinic, they're only going to be learning how to research one type of law.
Yeah.
So we market our clinic as you might have an environmental law problem, you might have a family law problem, you might have a business law problem. We've had all of them and then some in the clinic. And what we try to convey to our students is when you are a practicing attorney, especially when you are first enter the field, you're not going to be an expert at what you're asked to research. So you need to know how to have the tenacity to be able to research something new. And this is what this clinic will give you. It will give you that tenacity, and so that then you won't panic when your senior partner asks you to research something. And how to deal with that. So.
And do you have sort of like a set word mouth?
Yeah, so that was a big part of it, especially as finding community partnerships. So we have partnerships across Cornell, South Cornell. I think we were helped because Cornell is huge, all pervasive in the Ithaca community. There was a lot of partners we could reach out to across campus, but we also reached out to a lot of local attorneys, both in public defender's office and in but those are very important because without them you don't have problems. Yeah. And that's another really hard aspect is because you don't want to solicit for problems and then so really being able to correct the flow of problems coming into the clinic. It's hard to figure out how many problems you're going to need for a given semester and or how too much. But it's a lot of work, but it's very rewarding. It's probably one of my favorite parts of
I should have a business card, but I don't. But, and it probably won't be me contacting, but just somebody from Cleveland State.
And tell them, oh, do you have the back of the card? I'm also gonna give you Amy Emerson's, a fine person to contact. So feel free, they can reach out to one or both of us. We currently took our website down because we kept getting problems.
I think I didn't even notice that.
So
I went to
we-
your website and you said that you're currently not accepting or something.
Yeah,
like
so
that.
it's,
I'm like,
the-
oh,
it's
you guys are
down,
missing.
it's currently down, but it doesn't mean that we're not doing it anymore, it's just we had to take it off because we kept getting problems, so. But yeah, it's on the
Wonderful.
contact
Oh, I'm
and
so glad
we'll
to
be happy to share.
Thank you so much.